Then friends, another issue which I expect you to remember is that LTC, leave travel concession, employee should submit in, that is vouchers, to the employer, that really he has travelled and is claiming the LTC. In one case what happened is that the declaration is given by the employee that yes, I have travelled and I spent it. Based on that declaration, the employer says that LTC is exempted, so consequently by saying that LTC is exempted, on remaining income he has calculated the TDS and remitted the same. But then the department says you have not procured the bills from that employee, so there is a failure on your part. Actually he is not entitled for that particular exemption, so consequently a higher amount of TDS is to be deducted, but you have not deducted the higher amount of the TDS. Thanks to the Supreme Court, which said poor employers should not be troubled like that. They are paying the LTC, on the above of it, if you say that he should not have believed the declaration given by the employee, he should have insisted on the travel tickets and all. Since that is not available with the employer now at the time when we are going through the income tax returns and TDS returns, so there is a failure on his part, please don't trouble them like that. A simple declaration from the employee that he has travelled and incurred the expenditure entitled for that particular exemption is enough for the employer to say that LTC is exempted, and only on the balance of the income he is deducting the tax at source. That is enough. So to these 2 points you just make a note, that is Supreme Court held that tax deductor was duty bound to deduct the tax, at a source under section 192(1) from home salary paid abroad by the foreign company, particularly when no work stood performed, for the foreign company, and the total remuneration stood paid only on account of services rendered in India during the period Then one more important point you write. Supreme Court held that SSC employee was under no obligation. SSC employee was under no obligation to collect the evidence, to show that employee had actually utilized the amount paid towards LTC, leave travel concession / conveyance allowance while deducting tax at source. Then of course friends, you should make another important point here is with respect to that tax on non-monetary benefits. How do you calculate tax on non-monetary benefits? Write down. The person responsible for paying any income in the nature of non-monetary benefit, non-monetary perquisite, comma, may pay at his option, comma, tax on such non-monetary perquisite. Tax on such a non-monetary perquisite. Then the rate which is to be applied on non-monetary perquisite is average rate of tax, on income under the head salaries. This is most important. Average rate of tax on the income under the head salaries. You should not go by all other incomes. Only income under the head salaries you have to take into account. Of course, this theory you can get only by doing a problem. Just listen the problem. Carefully listen the problem. See, one employee gets a salary of 3 lakhs. Apart from the salary, he also gets a non-monetary perquisites of rupees 80,000. Now, what is the taxable income under the head salaries? 3 lakhs plus that 80,000, 3 lakh 80,000. Of course, he has got a saving of 60,000 in the form of public provident fund. Then how do you calculate tax to be deducted at source? 3 lakhs plus 80,000, 3 lakh 80,000 less 60,000 of ATC deduction, 3 lakh 20,000. On 3 lakh 20,000, what is the tax? Up to 180 nil, 180 to 320, 1 lakh 40,000, on that 10% means 14,000. And educational cess and secondary higher education cess put together 3% on 14,000 is 420, put together 14,420, uniformly throughout 12 months means 14,420 divided by 12 is 1,202. It's a straight simple case. But twist comes only in situation where, in case if the employer decide to pay the tax on non-monetary perquisites, how much of the tax he has to pay? How to calculate that tax? For that, what we said, what is his salary income? 3 lakhs. What is the non-monetary benefits? Non-monetary perquisites 80,000, 3 lakh 80,000. Don't deduct anything. Let us suppose this 3 lakh 80,000 is his salary income. What is the tax obligation on 380? On 3 lakh 80,000, what is it? Up to 180, it is nil. Your 180 to 380, how much it is? On 2 lakhs at what percent? 2 lakhs what percent? 10%. It works out to be how much? 20,000. On that educational cess and all comes to how much? 600. 20,600. Now this 20,600 divided by 3 lakh 80,000 gives you what? The average rate of tax at 5.42%. That 5.42% need to be applied on 80,000. Thereby it works out to be 4,336. Earlier you calculated what is the tax obligation? 14,420. From 14,420 you should reduce this, what is it, 4,336. Thereby on the balance he has to pay the, deduct the tax at source and remit the same to the government on 10,084. This is what the twist you should understand. How to calculate the average rate of tax, or how to calculate the tax on non-monetary perquisites. Already I made you to write how to calculate the tax on non-monetary benefits. Take only his salary income. You take as if that salary income is only his income without any chapter 6 deductions. Don't take chapter 6 deductions, it's a deductions. Chapter 6 deductions of ATC and all that you ignore. Only what is his salary income. Both salary as well as non-monetary perquisites put together 380 in the example which we have discussed. On 380 what is the tax? That tax divided by 380, what is the average rate of tax? That average rate of tax you have to apply on the non-monetary perquisites. That is the amount of the tax which the employer will remit on behalf of the employer. Employer will make the payment on behalf of the employee. And this amount of the tax from the normal tax you have to reduce, and on the balance you have to deduct the TDS. That is where I feel this is one provision, or section 192 has got some good number of issues, and if you prepare and go, probably it is very easy. But all the important gist points I made you to write. Sometimes we prepare so much, only finally to go to see some case law, like a foreign employer is there, he deputed his person to India, that person rendered services only in India, whatever the home salary is only for the services to be rendered in India, then TDS while deducting the tax at source, do that income home salary is also to be considered or not? That is, since we have studied and prepared and our gist notes contains this point, we will be able to write. Otherwise there we will write some story, cinema story. finally we will not be able to come to the point. At the time when I am delivering this particular lecture on TDS, results are just out last day. Many people who failed in the DT say, sir, we studied so much, but still we could not get what the marks we thought. Really, sir, mother promise. I attempted 100% of the paper, but I could get only 37 marks. Friends, try to understand, you are preparing for the final exam. Definitely, we are expecting you to touch the relevant point. Don't beat round the bush. That's where our video lectures, our concentration is more on points which the student should remember. Those points I am making you to write. Ultimately, all this text is available in any standard textbook or in the institute material also. It is not which teacher notes is good. It is not which teacher's lecture is good. It is what points are required, whether that came in my refer before exam notes or not. That is most important. Teachers don't have the magic stick to make you to pass. Kindly don't take to your heart, take to your mind to understand that this is most important thing, that more particularly in law papers when the questions are all coming for 2 marks and 3 marks, your knowledge should be very pakka perfect. Not that generally I know this particular provision. That will not help you out in any way. Then friends, I move to section 193, and please remember this is a very easy topic of all the topics in CA course. Direct taxes is an easy topic provided you feel for it. Right? See, when topic is tough, make the preparation tough. When there was also saying, when things become, when get going becomes tough, you also be tough in chasing that particular target. How many times you go and write the DT paper and come back with a defeating feeling? This time let us crash that particular concept, that particular paper with all these gist points. I hope will be definitely be useful to the students in tackling with that paper. Coming back to the point, of course some sections I am not giving too much of importance, because there if you know what is the section and what is the rate, that is enough. Now I am moving to section 193, that is TDS on interest on securities. TDS of interest on securities, what is the rate, friends? What is the rate? Rate is 10%. Write down just TDS on interest on securities. TDS on interest on securities is at the rate of 10%. Of course, only when paid to residents this 10% concept is coming. Of course, one important thing, of course not by the relevant Finance Act. Finance Act of 2008 itself said no TDS shall be deducted for any interest payable on any security issued by a company where such security is dematerialized and is listed in a recognized stock exchange. Of course, this exception is provided to facilitate the, corporate bond market. So this is one important thing you write. That is, no TDS shall be deducted. No TDS shall be deducted on any interest payable, on any interest payable on any security issued by a company, on any security issued by a company where such security is dematerialized. Dematerialized security is in dematerialized form, where such security is in dematerialized form and is listed on recognized stock exchange. Then friends, there are few other points here. Please remember, no TDS shall be deducted on interest payable on any security of central government or the state government. Similarly, no TDS shall be deducted on interest payable to any insurance company in respect of securities owned by it or in which it has a beneficial interest. These things you have to remember. As far as section 194 is concerned, what is section 194, friends? TDS on dividends. Dividends as such is exempted. Which dividends? Dividends declared by a domestic company and dividends covered by section 2 subsection 22 clause A to D. Because why? On that company is paying dividend distribution tax, so individual who receives such kind of the dividend is exempted under 10 clause 34. Okay. Then which dividends will be subjected to the tax, or for which there is no exemption? Dividend declared by a foreign company, dividends covered by 222E. So in respect of the dividends for which dividend distribution tax under section 115O is not applicable, definitely TDS is to be deducted at what rate? At the rate of 10%. Write down section 194, TDS on dividends paid to residents. It is to be deducted at 10%. It is to be deducted at 10% in respect of deemed dividend. In respect of deemed dividend referred in section 222E. Referred in section 222E. Then friends, I move to section 194A. 194A, I have got good number of issues. What is this? TDS on interest other than interest on securities. First make the heading so that listening also becomes interesting. Section 194A, TDS on interest other than interest on securities. Friends, from now onwards you will listen one beautiful point. Certain sections are not applicable for individuals and HUFs. If the payer happens to be individual or HUF, there is no obligation to deduct the tax at source by such payers. We are not talking about payees. Payer happens to be individual and HUF, then TDS deduction requirement is not there. But one common point, of course, every time I will say, even if I miss also, this is one common point. Individuals and HUFs also that requirement will come if they are subjected to the tax audit under section 44AB. So your 194A also says or starts with the same point. Any person other than or not being an individual or a Hindu undivided family who is responsible for paying to a resident any income by way of interest other than by way of interest on securities shall at the time of credit of such income to the account of the payee or at the time of payment in cash or by issuing of a check, whichever is earlier. Our TDS provision says what? Either at the time of credit or at the time of payment, whichever is earlier, you should deduct the tax at source. If you are not paying, even if you are crediting the same to his account, naturally you have to deduct the tax at source. At what percentile, friends? At the rate of 10%. Please remember, TDS is also to be deducted by the banks on fixed deposits. Of course, as I already told, individuals and HUF also will come under this particular provision provided they are carrying on the business and are subjected to the tax audit under section 44AB. Of course, knowing a provision is not a very big deal at this level. Exceptions are most important thing. Of course, you write the rate of TDS is 10%, rate of TDS is 10%. Friends, only those exceptions which I feel are important from the examination, I will make you to write, otherwise you just listen coolly. See, in case this interest amount happens to be less 10,000 or less than 10,000, in case of a banking company, 10,000 or less than 10,000 does not exceed 10,000. In case of a cooperative society or in case of a post office, it does not exceed 10,000 and 5,000 in any other case, then there is no need for deducting the tax at source. For banks and post office, if the interest payable does not exceed 10,000 rupees, no need for TDS. For in any other situation, it is 5,000. Then friends, one important point is partnership firm will be paying interest to the partner. So that is not getting covered by your 194A provision. Write down. Where firm makes payment of interest to the partner, where firm makes payment of interest to the partner, then such interest will not get attracted to, 194A. Then of course friends, your primary agricultural credit societies and cooperative societies, in case if they are paying interest to their members or another cooperative society, there is no need for deducting the tax at source. See, where interest is credited or paid in respect of deposits under different schemes of post office, like post office type deposits, post office recurring deposits, post office monthly income account, Kisan Vikas Patra, Indira Vikas Patra, national saving certificates, 8th issue on this, whatever the interest that comes, there is no need for, what is it, deducting the tax at source. Similarly, where interest is credited or paid by central government under Income Tax Act or Wealth Tax Act, I need to get a refund. There is a delay in giving the refund. Government is paying the interest to me for such a delayed payment of interest. There your TDS under section 194A don't have any application. Similarly, you are getting any compensation awarded under motor accident claim. Because of the delay in payment of that compensation, interest is paid. And if that interest amount is not exceeding 50,000 rupees, then there is no need for deducting the tax at a source. Similarly, if interest is paid by the infrastructure capital companies or infrastructure capital funds or public sector undertakings, then scheduled banks in relation to the zero coupon bonds, there is no need for that TDS. But friends, since time is one most important constraint point for us, we are not making you to write all these things. Hope and wish that you remember all this. See, आज बैंकिंग सिस्टम क्या सिस्टम पे चल रहा? कोर बैंकिंग सॉल्यूशन CBS. वहां प्रोग्रामर क्या कर दिए? डेली इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेशन के लिए भी व्यवस्था कर दी है. एंड योर प्रोविजन हियर सेज दैट द मोमेंट इंटरेस्ट इज क्रेडिटेड और पेड विच एवर इज अर्लियर. तो हर एक दिन TDS डिडक्ट करने का जरूरत आया था. Plain reading of the provision, yes. Now bank, what is it, association is there. It has gone to the, what is it, board asking for its clarification. Board also consider already bankers are in a very big trauma of working in tensions. तो अब हर एक दिन कैलकुलेशन हो रहा बोल के हर एक दिन TDS डिडक्शन एंड पेमेंट ऑब्लिगेशन कम्स, ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते हम. सो पीरियडिकली when really not in shadow account what is the provision you are making for the interest, that will attract your TDS provision. When actually you are crediting the same to the, what is it, that particular deposit holder, then the TDS point comes into the play as a point. With that I move to the next section, 194B. What is that 194B, friends? TDS on winnings from lotteries and crossword puzzles. TDS on winnings from lotteries and crossword puzzles. See, this provision will have application when? Only when the amount is exceeding 10,000 rupees. That is, only when amount of winnings from any lotteries or crossword puzzles or card games or any other games exceeds 10,000. Write down, friends, that is, in case if amount is not exceeding 10,000, no need to deduct the tax at source. No need to deduct the tax at source. And in case, and rate of tax, not in case, rate of tax is 30%. Friends, here few aspects you have to carefully understand. Let us suppose I am getting a Skoda car as a winning from lottery. Now I dressed very well and gone there to take my Skoda car. Then that fellow said, sir, give me 8 lakhs. Why? Because we have to deduct the tax at source and remit the same to the government, sir. This is in the non-monetary format. So your tax application we will not pay. You pay that 8 lakhs, whatever that 24 lakhs into 30%, how much it comes, you give us, we will remit on your behalf, then you can cool well drive your Skoda. Right. And of course, in case if that lottery scheme says, no, you should not collect any money from the winner, then what will happen? Winner will get the car and lottery fellow has to pay the tax, and put together it becomes the income of the SSC. Then in that situation, for the winner, the income is both Skoda car as well as the tax. Generally, whenever you win the lottery, you will win only to cry, because on one hand your Skoda car is giving you a high feel, on the other hand how do I mobilize this amount of the tax and do it. So that is a point, friends. I am not getting into much detail into it. I think concept is clear in your mind. That is, if it is given in a non-monetary format, then generally that person who is giving that particular price to you will ask the tax and remit the same to the government on your behalf and give you TDS certificate to you apart from the car. Then I move to 194BB. What is it? TDS on winnings from horse races. TDS on winnings from horse races. Of course, here it could be either for residents as well as non-residents. Even your 194B is also for residents as well as the non-residents, when it is being paid to residents or non-residents. Of course, if your winnings from horse races is not exceeding 5,000, there is no need for deducting the tax at source. So write down, no need to deduct the tax at source. In case if the amount does not exceed 5,000. Now, what is the rate of TDS? 30%. Rate of TDS is 30%. Now friends, I move to the next issue. What is the next issue? 194C. Of course, this is a very important section. Without 194C, there is no, what is it, CA final paper. 194C का story क्या है? Of course, you are all fortunate. How you are fortunate? You are all writing your exams after the Finance Act of 2009. Earlier there used to be contractor and subcontractor. Now today you don't have contractor and subcontractor story. All contractors, whether they are contractors or subcontractors, if that payee happens to be, not payer, payee happens to be individual or HUF, then the payer need to deduct the tax at source at 1%. Whereas other than individual and HUF, if the payee happens to be other than individual and HUF, TDS is to be deducted at the rate of 2% is a point. Write down this. 194C, rate of TDS, A, 1%, where payment is made to an individual, or Hindu undivided family. Then 2% where payment is made to others, Then friends, now the point is, I am not reading the section. I am only trying to discuss on important points. What is contract? Contract means what? Contract for doing the work or supplying the labor. Contract for doing the work or supplying the labor. But not your construction contracts or your sale contracts will come under the purview of 194C. So you make a note of that particular point also. That is contract covered by 194C is a works contract. But shall not include construction contract or contracts for sale. When you say work, what is work? When you say work, what is work? That is being covered here. Write down, work shall include A. Advertising, B. Broadcasting and telecasting, including production of programs, then carriage of goods passengers, or passengers other than railways, catering, next point is manufacturing or supplying a product. This is most important, which you have to underline. Manufacturing or supplying of a product in accordance with or in accordance to the requirements, or specification of a customer, by using the material purchased from such customer. See, this point you should be very, very, very careful. कैसा? सुन लो पहले. Look at the computer screen. Straight into my eyes. दोस्तों, कृष्णा रेड्डी साहब हमको एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिए. क्या कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिए? I want 50,000 शर्ट्स सर, पहनने के लिए नहीं. He is into the business of garments. तो उन्होंने चक्रवर्ती के पास आके क्या बोले? 50,000 शर्ट्स चाहिए भाई. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है. मगर चक्रवर्ती is given an option to go to the market and purchase the material and stitch it and give it. This contract is only a contract of sale, because Chakravarti is not purchasing the material from Krishna Reddy and not using that material to produce these shirts and give it to Mr. Krishna Reddy. But in case if Krishna Reddy says I'll purchase material. I will give that material to you. You stitch it and give it. Or otherwise, I am already having the material with me. That material only you have to purchase, and using that material only according to my specifications you have to do. Then 194C comes into play. You be clear which contract will get attracted to 184C. If it is a contract for manufacture or supply of product according to the specification requirement of the customer by using the materials purchased from such a customer. If the manufacturer is going to purchase the material from outside and use that material and produce the goods and give it to the customer, means it is as good as a sale contract, and that will not get attracted to 184C, is a point to be well remembered. Then friends, another important aspect here is, see, TDS, is it on gross amount or is on our service charges? See, in a works contract क्या होता दोस्तों? Material customer is supplying to us, right? Now I am billing, because the provision just now what you studied, you have to purchase the material from whom? From the customer who has given you the order. Let us suppose 50 lakhs is a material component, 20 lakhs is my stitching charges. कुल मिला के कितना है दोस्तों? 70 lakhs. Is the TDS is to be deducted on 70 lakhs or is the TDS is to be deducted on 20 lakhs? Depends. What is it? It depends. In the bill, if it is clearly bifurcated, material component is 50 lakhs and your stitching charges are 20 lakhs, then only on 20 lakhs TDS is to be deducted. If there is no such a bifurcation in the bill and a lump sum you are charging 70 lakhs, then on total 70 lakhs you need to deduct the tax at source. लिख लो दोस्तों. That is, TDS shall be deducted. TDS shall be deducted on the invoice value, on the invoice value, excluding the value of material, excluding the value of material, comma, if such value is mentioned, if such value is mentioned separately in the invoice, separately in the invoice. Next point is, TDS is to be deducted. TDS is to be deducted on the whole of the invoice value, on the whole of the invoice value, comma, if value of material, if value of material is not separately mentioned in the invoice, in the invoice. Of course, one important thing is that no TDS is required to be deducted on the payments made or credited to a transport operator, that is one whose business is plying hiring, leasing of the goods, provided he furnishes the PAN to the, the payer. If he don't submit the PAN, then at the rate of 20%. Write down this important point, friends. Payment made to the transporters, make it side heading, payment made to the transporters, no TDS is required. No TDS is required to be made. No TDS is required to be deducted. No TDS is required to be deducted. On payments made are credited to transport operator. Payments made are credited to transport operator. That is who is, that is the one who is in the business of plying, hiring or leasing the goods carriage, provided he furnishes his PAN. If he don't furnish his PAN, then at the rate of 20%. Write down. However, if transporter does not furnish his PAN, then TDS shall be deducted at 20%. Shall be deducted at 20%. Then friends, there is a threshold. See, what is that? 30,000 and 75,000 and all that is there. Before that point, you also make one more point probably which we may miss. For individuals and HUF, provisions of section 194C will have application. Provisions of section 194C will have application only when they are covered by 44AB brackets, that is subjected to tax audit, Then friends, what is the threshold limits up to which you don't need to deduct the tax at source? Write down. That is, no deduction shall be made. From the amount if such a sum does not exceed rupees 30,000, provided that where the aggregate of the amounts, of such sums exceeds rupees 75,000 during the financial year, then it will be liable to TDS. It will be liable to TDS. Of course, this provision for you to understand some situations we can tell you. Let us suppose it is a single contract of 30,000 in the year. Do I need to deduct the tax at source? Since it is not exceeding 30,000 and it is only a single contract, there is no need for deducting the tax at source. There are two contracts of 30,000 each. Still I don't need, because total amount is not exceeding 75,000 aggregate amount. There are three contracts of 30,000. Then put together it is becoming a 90,000. That means it is exceeding 75,000. Then you require to deduct the tax at source. There is a single contract of 40,000 in a year. Yes, because the moment it is exceeding 30,000 rupees, you need to deduct the tax at source. There are 5 contracts of 15,000 each. 5 into 15,000 is only 75,000. It is not exceeding 75,000. So there is no need for deducting the tax at source. There are 6 contracts of 15,000 each. 50,000 into 6 is 90,000, exceeding 75,000. So it will attract the TDS. Single contract of 75,000. Yes, since it is exceeding 30,000 rupees, you need to deduct the tax at the source. Singly, if it is exceeding 30,000, but singly it is less than 30,000, but overall all are exceeding 75,000, then even if singly it is below 30,000, still you need to deduct the tax at source. I think the point is very clear in your mind by now.